Hey y'all, Z Carita, shipmate from Tumblr. Okay, I know this video is egregiously late because, wow, it's after midnight and it's Sunday, which means I'm doing my blog for 3-4, and today at 8 p.m. we'll be seeing 3-5. Okay, my reasons for it being late was one, this week was a very busy week. We had a lot of college coursework to do. I had a project to do and midterms, and yeah, things got crazy. So I really didn't have time to focus on the blog. Two, I literally had to force myself to give two shits about the episode in order for me to actually write the blog. I remember reading in one of the reaction articles for one of the news things. I'm not sure if it was TV Line or Spoiler TV or whatever the fuck. But they said, every once in a while in a TV show, you get episodes that are known as filler, that really don't have too much action, don't have too much, emotion, or just kind of just there to bridge a gap, sort of. When there's good filler, it does it well enough, and then there's really shitty filler, and even the best shows have their moments. Like last season, a good example would probably be the episode having to do with Ruby and the werewolf thing. Total filler. This one, season 3, episode 4, Nasty Habits, total filler. And I'm not saying I thought it was shitty because it was primarily Rumpelstiltskin and Ormeal. Actually, Rumpelstiltskin's backstories can be very interesting if they're done the right way. I'm not really a Neil fan, so I don't like to see large amounts of Neil on my screen, but, if that's the story. I'm not going to say I'm going to stop watching because they've got Neil on there. I mean, it's just like I wouldn't stop watching if Hook wasn't there. I'd be very fucking pissed if Hook wasn't there, but I wouldn't stop, as, first and foremost, Oncer. Anyway, the blog portion is going to be short because there really wasn't anything. There's not much for me to really say. Peter Pan turns out to be the Pied Piper of Hamelin, and spoiler alert, yes, this is not a spoiler-free zone. I'm just gonna say that right now. Not that it really matters at this point. That Rumpelstiltskin and Peter Pan, before Peter went to Neverland, obviously they grew up together somehow. And for some reason, Peter left and went to Neverland and acquired magic and an enchanted flute. A very sexist enchanted flute, might I add, because it's supposed to attract lost children, but it never attracts any girls. As if only boys can be lost? Hello? Whatever. Yeah, there were some really great interactions between Rumple and Bay in the flashbacks, and I gotta give a shout out to Dylan. As usual, the kid is a phenomenon. Love him as Bay. He is absolutely amazing, and for what little sympathy I have towards Neil as adult Bay, I can never not love young Bay. Because as much as he loves his father, he's can't stand what his father has become. And it's true what he said, if you had just given me the choice instead of giving into your fears and your cowardice, if you had just given me the choice, I would have chosen to come home with you every time. Just because I want to have a little time to myself and have some fun and do things for myself doesn't mean that I don't want to come home to you. At the end of the day, you're still my father. But, again, cowardice. He's more afraid of the fact... he's not so afraid that he'll that someone will take Bae, he's afraid that Bae will leave. And, well, self-fulfilling prophecy. There's not really much else to say about this. Henry's starting to give in more to Pan's mind games, and no one can be sure if Pan's influence is causing him to be able to hear the flute song because he's starting to believe that his family really isn't coming for him, or if he's just playing Pan. No one really knows. Other good scenes in the cave. I really loved that whole scene. I know that we had most of it on this sneak peek. Again, Regina with her sass. I know everybody, majority of fans like Regina's sass. I just find it completely annoying because apparently she serves no other purpose at this point because she can't use her magic and she's that pissed off. So all she can do is make everybody else's lives a living hell by, being bitchy. I'm sorry. Perhaps you've learned by now 3 separate times that you've used magic and the 3 separate times that you fucked everybody up by doing so. It's not working. Alright, so Tinkerbell storms off in a huff because apparently even though they have a plan to sneak into Pan's hideout, they don't have a plan to get out. They hadn't thought that far ahead when they all rushed in there to save Henry. So she says, "Talk to me when you find a way out of here, or else, other than that, peace out, bitches." So now they have to figure out some way off the island before she'll bother to help. So they all go over. They all follow Hook, who takes them to one of Neil's little hideouts, a cave. And if you took a good look at the drawings on the cave walls, there's a lot of things that stood out. There was a picture of the entire Darling family up there. There was a picture of the port and starboard compass that Hook drew for Bae on the Jolly when he taught him how to steer. So, as angry as he might have been at Hook, I think he still had some sort of affection for him if he drew that. And it was probably his way of keeping himself sane, after all the centuries and years that he had to spend there. Apparently they found what amounted to a star map carved into a coconut shell, but they don't know how to read it because the codex of the map is secret. Hook taught Bae very well about how to keep things secret, so now they have to figure out a way to decipher it. Charming is steadily running out of time. He's looking worse for wear because of the dream shade. It amazes me that no one has caught him so far. Charming, I would thank you not to be a cockblock. The man's not doing anything bad. He's just trying to help out, and you were going in there acting like, oh no, let me do that for you, even though, I'm dying. Just so that, Emma won't notice you. Really? But, Hook and Charming are really romance. He's really desperate at this point for Charming to tell them what is going on because he doesn't want to watch Emma and the snow lose him in an instant without at least knowing. But Charming is adamant that no one can ever know. And he thinks that there's no hope left. But Killian obviously knows something that he's not telling him, which we will find out about in this week's episode, or tonight's episode, actually. The scenes between Hook and Emma in the cave. Lovely, lovely, lovely. One, for the fact that even though he sees that she is in a great deal of pain, because she realizes by going through Neil's things that she never really knew him. She didn't know the Bae that he once was. And she's obviously still mourning him. He is in pain himself for having lost Neil and for bringing back memories of Mila and things that hurt him a great deal. But before thinking of himself, he thinks of her. And he asks her if she's okay. And that really attests a lot to his character, that, he cares enough about her to focus on her before himself, which is the one thing that Emma has been struggling over for so long, finding someone who will always put her first. And Hook does that without thought and without question. In his mind, Emma comes first above everything. I mean, think about why he's dropped everything to go there to help her save her son. Put her first. And they kind of have a little conversation, and she starts to see that he's in pain too. I'm not sure yet if Emma has connected the dots that Mila is Neil's mother. I'd like to think that she's smart enough to have done so, but she hasn't come outright and said it, so I'm not sure. What else? And you can see in this episode, every time she'd ask him to do something like douse the torchlight, he would go straight off and did it. Married, maybe? Married? Kinda? Sorta? Not whipped, but definitely married. So there wasn't much else. There was a lot of Neil scenes, and all I gotta say about Neil is, this bitch? Really? And then there's this asshole. So, Neil has lost complete trust in his father. I understand why Neil has issues trusting his father, especially now that Neil knows about the prophecy concerning Henry. I get that, but I really do believe that Rumple's being sincere. I really believe that Rumple wants to save Henry. And I think for Henry's sake, Neil should have given his father at least the benefit of the doubt at that moment. All past bullshit aside, the operative thing at that moment was to think of what was best for Henry. To be able to get them out of there as soon as possible. And of course he does the stupid thing. Freezes his father with the squid ink and almost immediately gets picked up by Pan. One thing I didn't get about this episode, Emma and company have been traipsing through Neverland for the better part of a week and haven't found hardly shit. Neil's there for a couple of hours, not even a full day. Not even a full day. Not only does he find his father, wrestles a squid, gets squid ink, subdues Pan and the Lost Boys, gets Henry to safety, and then subdues his father. Excuse me? When the hell did Neil suddenly become William fucking Wallace? And he can, shoot fireballs from his eyes and lightning bolts from his ass. Super Neil or some bullshit. Really? Talk about not having a struggle. Oh, I need my son. I'm struggling. I've been working so hard and blah 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 and fighting for my son and for Emma. What fight? You haven't had to do shit. Everything has pretty much been handed to you on a silver platter, whereas Emma's on the other side of the island working her ass off with people she doesn't even like. And a really gorgeous pirate that she has feelings for and that is confusing her. Yeah, there was a lot of things that Neil did in this episode that were not impressive and that I didn't like, and it's very reminiscent of his father. I don't know necessarily if the theory of him going dark will pan out, but I can tell you that his personality is definitely changing, and he's starting to become a real dick. I don't know if that means he's going to become evil or not, but I mean, he's really... I just feel that if he and Emma were to get back together, it would just be toxic. And I'm not saying this from a point of view of, oh, I hate Neil. I mean, common sense-wise, their relationship was toxic from the beginning. And it will continue to be if they try to get back together. But Neil apparently is so adamant that he wants to find Emma or he wants to start over and have a second chance. I'm like, second chance? How about fourth, fifth, and sixth chance? Okay, you had way too many chances. So that ending scene, right, that officially finishes the episode portion of the vlog, because there really wasn't much, like I said, really wasn't much to say. It was not that impressive of an episode, but that the ending scene, where she gets upset and pretty much has a breakdown in front of her parents. I'm going to loop that in with some other arguments that have been going on Tumblr that I would like to address, because I think that they're all a load of bullshit. And there's a nice long list. First of all, and they all kind of work in tandem together. Yeah, so firstly, anyone who thinks that scene is romantic in any way, like in a Swan Thief, Swan Fire bent, because she said that she never stopped loving Neil, I've only got one thing to say to you. Yeah. No. That scene was heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, and I'm sure that Jayma was exhausted by the time she was finished with it. It was emotionally wrecking. She realized that she did not know Neil at all, and that even though she now realizes that he did in fact love her the whole time, it was too little, too late. She said point blank that she didn't just lose him when he died, or supposedly died. She lost him way before that, like 11 years ago. Actually, probably even before that, because it was like she never really had him. Going into that cave and seeing who he was as Bay, all the things that made him Bay, made her see that she never really had him in the first place, because she never knew who he was. There was not 1 ounce of truth that came out of his mouth. Everything he ever told her, other than possibly how he felt about her, was a lie. So she never really had him to begin with. And it upset her even more how much time was wasted. That because he still loved her, if he had not left her, and if he had stayed, or if he had come and tried to find her after she got out of jail, that they could have fixed things and they could have made it work. It probably wouldn't have lasted, but they could have made it work. And yet she wasted 10 years of her life erecting walls around her heart because of this asshole. Thinking that she wasn't worthy of being loved, and that she was nothing, when in reality he did love her. And she was trying at the same time not to love him, and yet some part of her still does. Okay, I want to clarify here. Just because she says that she never stopped loving him does not mean she's in love with him. You guys gotta learn to read between the lines. Sometimes I think when you guys make assumptions, when I say you guys, I'm not talking about Swan Thief, Swan Fire, Swan Queen. This is just the big general you. People that have not had these experiences before, I'm not saying that your life has to be like Emma's, or that you have to have had a love life like hers or like Neil's, but if you understand the dynamics of a relationship, you can love someone and not be in love with them. Trust me, enough time has gone by. She's not in love with him anymore. Believe that. She's too angry to be in love. She will always love him. There's a part of her that always will, because he's the father of her son. And that is a connection that you can't really dismiss. And excuse me 1 second while I get my power cord before this computer powers down. 1 second.